Hello and welcome back to another modern deck design video. Today I'm going to be showing my Cruel Grixis deck. My deck main 60 cards are currently complete. My sideboard, although, is a hectic mess, and I'm not going to bother showing that because it is basically in parts. I do have about I don't know, like 40 cards in my sideboard that are in and out depending on what 15 I need to actually finalize with. So I'm just going to go ahead and show the main 60 right now. What a Cruel Grixis deck does is it tries to manipulate and control the board, and this is a modern deck, so it's doing that until you can get up to this 7 mana costing sorcery spell. This is a tempo spell where essentially it wrecks the opponent, making them sacrifice and discard and lose life, and I gain and draw in return. A deck like this is not really going to be close to tier 2. Sometimes people argue that it's definitely not tier 1. The problem is my deck is focused around, well, the design of all Cruel decks are focused around a 7 mana costing card. And a lot of modern decks, they can essentially just lock out a game within the first 2 or 3 turns. So, having a deck like this means that the deck is mostly going to be full of answers. Just ways of prolonging the game and controlling the board until I can get there. So, out of my 60 cards, there are 25 cards that are instances. There are only 3 creatures in my deck. They are all 3 snaps. I had Augur Boluses in the side for a while. I will most likely get a 4th Snapcaster, although I don't like the idea of running 4 main deck. Sometimes there's just no legal target for him, and I keep running into Snapcaster after Snapcaster. So for now, I am main decking 3. He is again a flash creature. It's important that he can flash out. Of all my other instances, most of these have a very low cost. I am of course running Lightning Bolt, 4 of them. This is the main or the best removal spell in Modern to date. And Magma Spray, I'm running, I believe, just 2. The ability to exile is really good, especially when you start seeing the Strangleroot Geist, whatever the 2 green hasty guy is that undies. Something like this is really good. Also just another 1 mana instant. Electrolyze, I need to get an English version of this. A lot of these cards were actually in Russian, and I'm slowly transferring it back to English because that was causing issues in my shop. 3 mana to do instantly, 2 damage spread against any target I want, and I draw a card. I believe I only have 2 of those currently. This is an awkward card. Some people just swear by it, some people hate seeing this. Some people think it's just not good enough. It lets me tutor for anything that has it's an instant or a flash, and it's an instant speed tutor, but I can also do it later in the game. What this typically means, I'm only running 2, is that ideally you need a tutor for the answer you need, but being at 4 mana, that's kind of hard to guarantee. So this could be 5 mana to go Lightning Bolt something I need. It could be 6 mana to go get me a Snapcaster Mage, so I could get something out of my graveyard. Although that's a lot of mana. It could also be like an immediate answer to a threat, something I need to die and come back. But there's also more coming up behind it. So this Mystical Teachings is... Some people just don't like seeing it. They don't think it's good enough. And it's not really done bad to me so far. I only have 2 cryptic commands. If I get a 3rd cryptic command, I'll most likely take 1 of these out, simply as that is oftentimes a target for this. Here's another card I need to probably upgrade to the Anticipates. I have been fond of Telling Time. It's one of my favorite cards ever printed. Anticipate is most likely a better card, being able to dig a little bit deeper, but quite often I'm using this just to guarantee a landfall, and sometimes I want to keep some of the cards. I don't really want to put them all on the bottom. So I'm still running 4 of these. I will most likely switch over to some Anticipates to playtest for a while. I'll probably switch back. Here's some more spells that I will most likely get with my Mystical Teachings. A completely 1 mana costing counterspell is great, but if I need to tutor it up immediately, this is just really good. I'm only running 2, but I'm running a playset of Rune Snags over Mana Leaks. The reason is I'm not playing Delve. I would prefer to have more of these in my graveyard because I am trying to play a late game win. Again, Cruel Ultimatum there costing 7 mana. There's a good chance that if I am able to prolong the game longer, then something like a Mana Leak, which it's not going to be always a guaranteed counter. Something like having used this early game and then a second one later game is much better than a Mana Leak. If you're running Delve, of course, you don't want to run these. So there's 4 of those and 2 cryptic commands. I'm trying to eventually get a third one. If the price on these would stabilize, that'd be awfully nice. And I probably would replace one of my teachings, my mystical teachings there. If I could maybe, I don't know. I'm still on the fence about a 4 Snapcaster. A 4 Snapcaster may also replace the second teachings. This is where I'm in that gray area where I just keep on playtesting. And I'm playtesting before I develop my sideboard because I don't want to meta anything just yet. So that was all instances. There's 25 instances there. Of my deck, there are 27 lands, I believe. And there's just a handful of other things. There are the obvious board wipes. Like, again, I want late game. So Anger the Gods, 2 of these main decked to exile. Again, I am removing them from the game if they die. This is really good against a lot of matchups. There's 2 main decked. And I'm also main decking 2 Damnations. Again, cannot be regenerated. 4 mana for a wipe is a lot. That's why there's only 2. But in the deck, it is the namesake card of the deck, but you only want 2, maybe maximum 3, depending on your meta and who you're playing against. Because obviously I want to use a Snapcaster Mage to get it back again. And it really only takes 1 or 2 of these to resolve before you actually swing the win. The backup there is, of course, a pair of Batterskulls. Sometimes in different decks, Cruel Grixis decks, you'll see some kind of alternate backup win condition. It could be a Grave Titan, some value creature, maybe even Nicobolus himself, the Planeswalker. I'm preferring these over something like that. My sideboard, I actually have an Aetherling. I'm really tempted to put a Torchling in there for lulz because it's one of my favorite cards. It's not good in Modern, but an Aetherling, if you've played during any kind of control during the RTR block there, you know what that does. I'm right now preferring to keep 2 main deck Batterskulls because not a lot of people are main decking artifact removal, and I can keep it safe, and the lifelink on this is a godsend. But yeah, I do believe I have 27 lands. Some Cruel decks you'll see upwards to 28 lands. My curve is actually pretty in control, and with my 4 telling times, I have a pretty awesome time hitting my land drops. So I'm running all the grips, or all the water graves, all 4 of these. And I'm only running 3 blood crypts and 2 or 3 steam vents. I can't remember. Yeah, 3 steam vents. That's not a lot. I'm actually using a lot of basic lands in this deck. There's been an insurgence of Blood Moon in my area, so I've been trying to compensate by increasing my basic land count. So I'm also not running a lot of fetches. I'm only running 2 Bloodstained Mires and 3 Polluted Deltas. My life is an asset, but I don't have a lot of early defense. I also plan on changing one of these Lava Claws to another Creeping Tar Pits. I only have, it's bad. These are honestly something I should not be running in the first place. Man lands are great, but in this deck, they're rarely going to do a lot other than get just a handful of damage off or be destroyed. They're not that good. It would be much better just to have Creeping Tar Pit because he's unblockable. I'm running 1 of each of the filters. I'm not running the Carrion, the black-red one. These 2 are very important because they really do help with the cryptic command mana. And the rest of these are basics. I'm running the junky Urza foily promo ones. So what we got, like what, 4 islands and 2 or 3 swamps and a mountain. Yeah, 2 swamps and 1 mountain. That's a lot of lands. Like 27 lands, I believe, is how many is in here. But yeah, that is my current design for my Cruel Grixis deck. This is, I don't know, this is not a deck that you'll see pretty often. It's not really a tier deck. You'll see it every now and then, but it's something like, it's just not as good as a lot of the other tier decks. The consistency is the issue. You're relying on a 7 mana spell, that's what your deck is designed around. And if your control fails early game, or someone combos out on you and you can't stop it, well then you don't really have any way of coming back. Best thing we can do is hope that we run into aggro, because decks like this tend to really destroy aggro decks because it's lots of removal, lots of burn, lots of advantage. Failure is of course going up against another version of control or a combo deck that is faster or some type that we can't deal with. But yeah, my sideboard again is currently under construction. I know I'm probably going to put Far and Aways in there so I can have some kind of answer against a Tron design I can't deal with. I'll probably put some big ridiculous beater in there. Aetherling's my current desire. Grave Titan's a pretty common sight for that kind of thing. But yeah, it's too much in parts right now to show. I'll probably show another video when this is revised. But yeah, I haven't revisited this deck list for a while. If you have any ideas or input, or if you ever played against this, or if you'd like to suggest some cards, or if you think this is just a fucking stupid idea, well, definitely let me know. I'm always open to advice.